Hello and good day for positive thinking. Let's promise each other we'll dedicate ourselves to celebrate the benefits of having a positive outlook. What is so great about positive thinking, you might ask? Common wisdom suggests success can be achieved through optimistic thought processes and a positive mental outlook. Apathy, defeatism, and negativism, it is often said, should be avoided at all costs. And if a situation seems unpleasant, some say you should find a way to perceive it as good. Rational evidence? Rational evidence? In the 1950s, Dr. Robert K. Merton, a professor at Columbia University, pointed out the possibility of self-fulfilling prophecies, or beliefs that can bring about certain outcomes and alter behavior. If someone believes something is going to happen just by thinking about it, they may act accordingly for it to occur and actually make it happen. In other words, if you really want to fall in love or buy a jet, if you think about it positively long and hard enough, it should more likely occur. Acting on this idea, Dr. Robert Rosenthal of Harvard University performed a study illuminating what he called the Pygmalion effect, suggesting labeling children can affect their performance. Classes labeled high achievers performed better than classes labeled underachievers. And teachers reported that they even preferred the personalities of the students in the high achievers class. Despite the adverse life-altering side effects this test may have had on the subjects labelled underachievers, I appreciate the curiosity of the researchers, and I'm going to remain positive. Research into cardiac arrest patients at the University of Marburg in Germany showed that a patient's positive attitude about their illness improved their recovery. Granted, you can take this too far. TechCrunch cynic Jason Kincaid doesn't trust people who seem constantly enthusiastic about everything, and you gotta admit, he brings up a good point. You can also take this too far. Did you hear about the guy who sat waiting for something to happen? Nothing ever happened. It's hard to deny that positive thinking can make your life better if you can convince yourself it's true. Psychologist Sri Kumar S. Rao promotes the reduction of good and bad label use altogether. Instead of judging an event as either positive or negative, just accept it for what it is, and avoid the need for positive thinking altogether. For as the famous Indian cricketer Virendra Sehwag once said, positive thinking is not about expecting the best to happen every time. It's about accepting that whatever will happen will be the best at that moment. In other words, just let it be for what it is, and be what you are and don't try to force it. Don't try to be what you are not, good or bad, just exist. And according to many psychologists, sometimes it just isn't possible to turn a bad situation into a good one. And trying to force it can just make things worse in the long run. So it might actually be helpful to get pissed off sometimes. But some suggest depression can cause rumination, repeatedly focusing on causes, symptoms, and consequences of stress. Neuroscientists in China found that the left ventrolateral prefrontal cortex, an area of the brain associated with keeping on task, shows signs of elevated activity in depressed patients when intense focus actually causes distractions. Like existentialism, which can really mess you up just thinking about it, so it's kind of confusing. To some degree, one's outlook on life being generally positive or negative can come from environmental or biological circumstances, and the application of positive thinking exercises could be considered in some cases inadequate. So anyway, you could spend the rest of your life studying and researching this stuff, which is enough to drive anyone into a state of severe depression, so I've boiled the topic down for you. Here's what I think you need to know. Life may not only be meaningless, but absurd. But when the sun rises, it rises for everyone. So let the sun shine in. Let it shine, let it shine! Or don't.